All right.
Ready? All right, we had a little technical difficulties with the phone to get back up on our Facebook Live, so hopefully you're there with us. Thank you very much for joining us today. Got a couple of things we wanted to go over. Certainly some great things last week. We certainly enjoyed, had the proclamation recognizing Chappie James Day last week on Friday, his birthday, 102nd birthday, so we did appreciate having that. I also wanted to let you know that Kareth and I and Councilman Wiggins went to Tallahassee, had several good meetings with our legislators. There are some crazy things going on in Tallahassee as always, but we were able to continue to work with the League of Cities on multiple fronts. They're probably the preemption bill or the one about local ordinances is probably one of the more significant ones, and we've been working through that. Understanding League of Cities has been working to amend that to make sure that for most of the things that are normal actions of what we do, they would not apply. The last one is the sovereign immunity issue, and certainly I think the cities, we expressed that we understand from time to time that value has to change, but we think what it was going to, what some members want it to go to, was simply too aggressive for where we are as cities, and we're certainly agreeable to something that shows inflation and works with that. But those were several of the things that we looked at. Lastly, I did want to say something. Unfortunately, I wanted to recognize it on Thursday, but I didn't have a chance to. I wanted to certainly send out my condolences to the Oberholtz family. Neil Oberholtz passed away. One of the partners at Elstock, Witkin, Crease, and Oberholtz over there on Main Street. Known Neil for a long time, good friend. Certainly sorry about his passing and his family. Our thoughts and prayers are with them, and he will be missed. But some of the things going on for this week as we move forward. We have a neighborhood cleanup that is getting ready set for Saturday the 26th. The next mayor's cleanup will be that day in East Pensacola Heights area, including portions of surrounding neighborhoods. Please check the map for your details. The mayor's neighborhood cleanup allows City of Pensacola sanitation customers in the cleanup area to leave eligible items at the curb free of charge. They will be picked up. Eligible items include household appliances, furniture, tires, paint cans, and more. Visit cityofpensacola.com for details, and we ask you to look at that to make sure you can take advantage of that program. FEMA repairs at Plaza de Luna are beginning in February. The City of Pensacola will begin repairs this month at Plaza de Luna for the damage from Hurricane Sally. Waterfront areas of Plaza de Luna will be closed while the repairs are completed. Repairs will begin Wednesday, February 16th, and are estimated for completion in July of 2022. All remaining FEMA funded projects related to Hurricane Sally damage in the City of Pensacola are expected to be completed by this summer, except for Wayside Park. Thank you for your patience as we continue to work through these projects. Please continue to follow the City of Pensacola on Facebook and visit cityofpensacola.com for updates as we continue to work through those. So I see David over there. I know they're busy, and I see Amy in the back. I know they're busy getting lots of those projects done. Reminder that also one of the projects that we have gotten completed is the East Garden District, and there will be a ribbon cutting tomorrow at 4 p.m. to celebrate the improvements on on Jefferson Street as part of the East Garden District project. I think this past weekend they had I guess yesterday, a little closure over there on Garden Street, so certainly trying to celebrate those improvements. We look forward to having the ribbon cutting on Monday. I really think it's enabled us to see a significant change and seeing growth that will continue to go east along Garden Street, and really sort of fleshing out some of that vitality that we have in the downtown. Again, we're excited about what's going to happen at the very end with the IHMC and the things that they want to do. We think that this will continue to bring vibrancy to the east side of Garden, and we're excited about the west side of Garden. We see the projects that are occurring there. We think they will also continue to flesh out, much like Garden, as we said last week, will continue to be, I think, a new Palafox. So we certainly are excited to see that happening and the things that are going on. The improvements included wider sidewalks with pavers, landscaping, underground power, new utilities and drainage. The road lanes were narrowed and then resurfaced, and safety upgrades and more. The ribbon cutting will take place at the intersection of Jefferson and Garden Street, so we look forward to you being there. COVID-19 numbers, again, we've seen things start to come considerably down. The positivity rate for Escambia County was 21.8% last week, last week, which follows 25.2% the week before. So we continue to see a decrease in positivity, which is good. Hospitalizations on Friday were 167, 159, 154 on Sunday, and then today 146. So we're back under 150, and again, sort of have come down about 100 from where our high point was, and so we're very appreciative of that. We will continue to monitor and look forward to what we can and do what we need to. Certainly, lastly, over the weekend, I think the one thing I found good for Facebook is that birthdays seem to be pretty good. I appreciate everybody sending stuff, but I will say there was some discussion as we continue to go forward, and I still remain confused as to what the ultimate goal of where council is going to go. I know people are very frustrated with their power bills, and I think everybody can deal with frustration. I think the question is then, what do you do with it, and how do you make something work? And certainly the council has the ability to evaluate and figure out what they want to do from things that they're looking at. But again, from our standpoint, we handle the negotiations. As I've told you before, again, I think the best interest of the city at this particular time is to continue to go month to month through the remainder of this year. I don't see how anything trying to start a franchise in the middle of one of the highest price times, and certainly labor shortage, material shortage, is necessarily a good thing for any of us. Again, a number of things out there. One, we have a very franchise for a very small area. The county's not even for multiple years out on their franchise agreement. So I think continuing to keep flexibility is the best thing that we can do. Council's welcome to figure out whatever they want to do, look at whatever's going on, but at this point I don't see how any of that is going to be translated into something that's advantageous for the city residents of Pensacola. At this particular time, I think that's what no matter what our anger is, I think we got to ask ourselves, are we making good decisions? I think oftentimes this certainly is emotional, but emotion does not lead us to good decisions. I think we have to look at things and evaluate and ask ourselves critical questions. I think all of us would generally say if we ask those questions, we don't want to pay anything higher. So again, at this particular time, I don't see anything that points me in a direction that says this is a favorable time for the city of Pensacola to get involved in something by itself. Again, we'll continue to move forward. I think that's the best options. It's the flexibility we've maintained for 3 years. We've only been concerned in getting an agreement with Gulf Power, now FP&L, if it's something that's good for the city. So again, we've debated with them for 3 years, and we haven't brought anything forward because we don't feel like it's the right thing for the city. And I don't think at this point anything else except keep maintaining flexibility to look at the future is perhaps the best place to keep the city of Pensacola at this particular time. So with that, I will open it up, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
On the cost of the cleanup, there's a lot of confusion about what the total bill was and what that covered.
I've never seen so much confusion.
It seems like there were two different parts. One was the year and a half prior to the cleanup that just started this last month.
Correct.
And then the cost of the security and the cleanup since the camp was cleared. Can you maybe just clarify what the cost of each of those are?
Let's start with even the more confusing part that got started was because it was being money that the council had allocated from Marina, which I believe was the Marina cleanup or the Marina dealing with the issue that was brought by Ed Fleming on the Palafox Marina. If you remember, they talked about trying to do something to assist with that.
For the breakwater?
Correct. At one time. So there was $352,000 in that project. That really threw people because they thought the whole $352. At no time was that ever discussed. But we did take, again, and I understand totally where Amy Lavoie is coming from. When the council says, well, whatever it goes, you just put it in there, and if you don't use it, come back. Well, from Amy's perspective, she's like, well, why don't I just put a high number out there and it'll come back to the council. I mean, if it's not used, who cares? It's going to come back to the council and allow them to reallocate. I understand what she did that. She thought there were some more things. We would have some outstanding contracts on that. It wasn't sure where we would be with regards to the boyettes and washing stations. So the toilets and the washing stations, she wasn't sure where we would be with those. So I understand why she estimated high. Ended up, Brian, you still think we're going to be around that 50,000 number?
Mayor, for the current expenses associated with cleanup, I believe it'll be below $50,000. All previous expenses associated with toilets and washing stations, we're still trying to figure that out. I think that's going to be part of that.
Okay, well, there you go. So the cleanup of just this most recent cleanup is going to be less than 50,000, we think, and then we'll have to deal with where we are on all the other stuff. And it's certainly not the 352, but it was very confusing the other night when we got in there why people saw all the different things. And again, at no time, just because we were taking money from the marina, that was to show council, it wasn't the whole 352. So again,
and the 100 is back to parks from money you've already spent.
Correct.
Over the last year and a half to take care of whatever needs had to be spent, right?
Correct. And I don't even think we're going to have to use that whole amount, but I mean, we're still working through that. So, again, I think from Amy's perspective, she was going to go high, and because the money, if we overestimate, the money comes right back with ARPA, and the council has a chance to reassess it on something else.
So does that mean the breakwater project is not happening?
At this point, it depends on what council wants to do. They always have the option to spend where they want to spend. Again, I find it kind of funny. The way some of these things are going all the time. Andrew, you reminded me of one thing I totally forgot. I was trying to remember it, and I did want to say there was one other thing I meant to ask a chance to do that, because I had asked some staff to make some comments. I forgot last week was also the beginning of the Charter Review Commission. I don't know how many of you watched that meeting. But if you thought they were simply going to tweak the charter, I'm not so sure. It seemed like there were several people that want to totally redo the charter. I thought it would be interesting to you. I mean, there's a lot of discussion by some people that you just talk to council members and they have all the answers. I think it's important for you to talk to the people that actually do the daily work of working at the City of Pensacola. I think the most important job that you have as mayor is attracting and retaining talent here at the city and the people that are going to be working here and doing the stuff for you. We are doing a number of projects right now, a number of things. I think Amy said, I think all of last fiscal year we did 43 projects. We're already over 25 projects, and that was back at the first of, that was back in the middle of January. So I imagine we're close over 30 projects. The things that we have going, I tell people all the time, nothing we do singularly is very significant or very hard. It's the fact that we do so many things at one time, and that requires incredible people and staff. So I have asked 3 of our management staff to come up here and just kind of explain to you some of their thoughts or why they think this function and this form of government works an advantage for them to think about wanting to work here at the City of Pensacola. David, I'll start with you, and then I'll have Amy, and then I'll have Kareth. So come on up here, David. He's batting cleanup.
David Forte, Deputy City Administrator, Community Development. As the mayor mentioned, there is clearly I'll say this. I'm coming on 2 years now with the City of Pensacola, and prior to that, I was 13 years with Escambia County, our partners just north of us, and I worked in several different positions from the entry level all the way up to a deputy director. And I can clearly say just in the 2 years I've been here with the City of Pensacola compared to the 13 years previously with Escambia County, the efficiency with the strong mayor form of government and the productivity is almost night and day difference. Having a clear line of communication from the top down and then from the down up, having one individual to report to necessarily is much cleaner than maybe having 7 or 8 individuals to report to. It just makes it definitely more efficient, more effective. As the mayor mentioned, we have a handful of projects that we're currently underway. We have several in the queue in the hopper that we plan to have out to bid or under construction here very shortly. And if it wasn't for the actual form of government we have currently, it would be probably far more challenging. It definitely would be more challenging to be able to produce them in the way that we are, in the efficiency and the effectiveness. So I wholeheartedly support the strong mayor form of government, and look forward to hopefully being able to work under this form of government for many more years. So that's really all I've got.
Thank you. Thanks, David. Amy, come on up. Amy's perspective is pretty good because she actually has worked under both systems at the City of Pensacola.
Good morning, Amy Miller, Deputy City Administrator, Enterprises and Administration. I really echo a lot of what David said. I don't think he could have said it any better. But I'm going to focus for just a minute on the enterprises of the city. The port, the airport, the natural gas utility, sanitation, those divisions of city government that really act as businesses and operate as businesses. And I can tell you that the vast majority of those are setting records this year and last year and the year before, even in the midst of COVID. And all of them have been on the uptick since we changed to the strong mayor form of government. Those of you who have been around a while, Andrew and some other folks will remember back when we were at the council manager form of government. You know, the airport had some tough times, the port had some tough times. And I think that speaks a lot to exactly what David was saying, that clear line of communication. One person that you report to as opposed to 7 council members with potentially 7 different ideas. A city administrator, you know, I can remember back in the city administrator, city council form of, city manager council form of government, yes, you had a city manager, but who did the city manager work for? The city manager worked for council. So we had cases where council members were openly disrespectful and antagonistic towards senior staff at council meetings. Why? Because is a city manager who may actually not feel that's appropriate really going to stand up to the people that control their professional fate? Sometimes not. So some of those things I think are reasons that I think the strong mayor form of government really has been a tremendous advantage to the city of Pensacola. And one of the reasons that we're experiencing the growth and the vitality and the successes that we're experiencing right now are because of that.
Thanks, Amy. And I will say, council members haven't changed. They continue to do that. The good news is they don't bother them, they bother me. So again, that makes it easy. My job is to deal with that. They don't have to, and they keep being successful. Kareth?
Good morning, Kareth Fiddler, City Administrator. I too want to echo what Amy and both David have already stated. I've had the pleasure of working for 6 different municipalities before coming to Pensacola. One of the things I've seen, this is my first time working in a strong mayor form of government. One of the frustrations I've seen working in a council manager form of government is the fact that you do have several bosses, whether it be 5 elected officials or 7. So trying to get things done can be very challenging. I appreciate being here under the strong mayor form of government. The mayor and I have a really good working relationship. If he needs something done, we're right next door to each other, versus having to schedule meetings with council members. We also have a really good working relationship with their council executive, Don Crayer. So even though we are in a strong mayor form of government, we still have access to the elected officials through Don. But we appreciate working for Mayor Robinson, and I appreciate being in a strong mayor form of government. But again, I echo what both Amy and David already stated.
Thank you. Thanks, Kareth. I appreciate it, and I should have remembered to do that until you jogged my memory. And then, Casey, I would like us to at least, when you send this out today, to send this out to all the Charter Review Commission members so they can see that. Is there any questions for the staff about dealing as we look at the CRC? Thank you. Thanks. Again, I think from that standpoint, I certainly think there are things, understandably, that can be tweaked within the charter review, which is what I think. But I don't think, I'm certainly not going to be here for the next mayor, but I think it's worth, the system certainly works. I think, as Amy said, we've never found ourselves this successful in anything we've done as a city. So from that standpoint, I think the system of government works. Can it be tweaked? Can you do things a little bit differently? Yeah, but I do think one of the most important things that we've been able to do is really attract talent. The people we have are some of the best people that I know in public service work. They do an incredible job, and we're very fortunate to have them here. But I think they would tell you one of the attractions to being here is the system that we have. So I'm more happy to answer any questions. Andrew.
30 seconds too slow, but I'd be curious if any of the three of them have suggestions for what they'd like to see change in the charter, if there's anything that's getting in the way of what they do right now.
I don't know. I'll let them, if y'all want to speak to anything.
Great question, Andrew. Right now, I personally don't have any issues with what's being presented other than the form, other than changing the other than that, I have no issues right now, but regarding what we do on a day-to-day basis, so I'm fine with the way it is now. So.
Andrew, I think the more important thing, if you watch that, it was interesting. If you watch Don Crayer, I think Don summed it up pretty good. Don summed it up as we don't need to change the whole thing. What we need to make sure that happens is the experience we've had over the last 4 years, I think, are a much more productive experience. Here's what I'm going to say and continue to say whenever I address them. The City of Pensacola is a more effective community when you have a good executive branch and you have a good council. To the exclusion of either one of those two, we won't achieve what we need to do. I've never said that we don't need a council. I've continued to work openly with them. You know, the last council, when they left, 4 members, when they left, I mean, they kept talking about how nice it was these last 2 years of theirs that they worked with it. Every council is a little bit different. This one's been a little bit different because we have so many new people. But the same thing, we've never said the council can't do things they want to do. The council can't discuss stuff, and so I tell people all the time, it's always interesting when people say strong mayor, because I don't actually make any ordinances. I don't appropriate any money. I set a tone for what we do, and I attract people. I think that's the most important thing I do in this job. The rest of it, really, the council does, and we execute. We argue for certain things. Yeah, we have the ability to do that, and we position. But we try to do things that move the City of Pensacola forward. So I think that's very important as we look at the next CRC. Yes, Jeremy.
What are your thoughts on the feasibility study for Summit Boulevard?
My biggest fear is we have so many projects out there that want to do it. I think it's great. I temper the people at Summit with understanding how there are a lot of projects before that. We obviously, with DOT, and I think even for this next one, we're going to be having, we've received things back from, not DOT meeting when we were in Tallahassee, when we met with them in Chipley the week before, we discussed Palafox. Been one of the very first things we did. When I first got here, we did the road diet from Palafox, from Wright Street to Cervantes. So we've been immediately talking with them, Cervantes all the way north. We would love for Palafox to be the gateway. People funnel from some of those neighborhoods north of Cervantes and then come down. And if they're going to bike or pedestrian, we'd love for them to come that way. We got a good discussion from them the other day. They are going to be doing a resurfacing project in 2023. So they were trying to figure out what it was going to cost. I think right now the estimate is like $1.2 million, which is design and implementation. So the state would go ahead and do everything while they were doing the resurfacing project. They're going to be looking for the City of Pensacola to come up with $1.2 million. We think we have a plan to fund that one. Next out of line behind that one was
That's Palafox.
That's Palafox. Was the two-way of Davis and MLK. Then behind that, this is just with the state, was then trying to look at Bayfront and do something there. So these are all the things that we are evaluating with the state. Internally, before we even get to Summit, there are those projects that we were discussing. Then we've already been very clear what we were going to do something with Langley. David's team, Amy's team, Amy Toodle's team have gone out and met with people about Langley. So we're doing something on Langley. In fact, I mean, you talk about a blow up public records request. As soon as the thing came on about Summit, man, I mean, everybody in Scenic Heights came out of the woodwork wanting to know what was going on. We very quickly explained to them, we have no public records because it wasn't our initiative. This was an initiative done by a council member. You're welcome to go talk to that council member and other things. But I tried to temper at the meeting. I understand the idea, great idea, let's look at it and let's study it. Just understand, we have a lot of projects and a lot of roads that have been asking for things that are ahead of that. At the same time, I think there's a number of things in Summit that can be done and can work to make things better as we're looking at that. I mean, obviously the issue on parking for Vickery Center, I know that was one of the things that was prompting Jared to make that discussion. So we'll see what we get. That's one of the reasons you do the study. I thought David did a great job the other day. Everybody was so excited about it, and Tignati said, why don't we just go start building it? And he said, well, first off, you got to do the study, because if somebody gets in a wreck, first thing the attorney is going to tell you is where's the study? And we got to to make sure we're legally covered for ourselves, understand what we're getting into. We need to do that study. So those are the things we're looking at. But I certainly think it can work. I know Councilwoman Myers discussed some sidewalk issues she wants with Washington High School and College and a couple other ones. We certainly can look at those as well and see what we can do to create some of those. So we got a number of projects that we're looking at. The best thing that I can say is, we came in 2018 and we said we were going to start doing more bike and pedestrian things. It has taken us a while to get the team in place that I think are really gung-ho behind it. We've also seen sort of a change at DOT to get more in behind these kind of projects. So, again, I think the next mayor, whoever that is going to have a real opportunity to get a lot of these projects done that have sort of stacked up. But, none of those would have happened without the foundation we're already working under. But there are a lot of projects stacked up. And, I mean, again, I don't think if you have the mayor council system, you would have that opportunity. It really would be a food fight at the council level every day as to which ones you do, and I think that's what we try to keep working on all these projects, but we absolutely want them to fit in an order that we're working through that's kind of fair across the city. Did I bore you with the question? You're already yawning. All right. So, no more questions? Wow, this was an easy one. All right. Well, thank you very much for being here today. We will look forward to seeing. We're not doing this next week, are we?
That is right. I forgot to put that on your notes.
So next week we will be off for President's Day. We'll look forward to seeing you on the 28th.
The trash pickup will be a day later. So.
Yes. Absolutely. Jim, certainly our radio people, anybody that could say it, TV, next week where everybody's trash moves back a day. Everybody's going to get trash pickup. It just moves back a day because next Monday will be a holiday. So enjoy your President's Day next week. We'll look forward to getting back with you on the 28th, our last one in February on the last day. Well, that'd be good. Thank you very much. Apparently, Andrew's also yawning, so we got. It must be a boring press conference. All right.